Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're turning back the clock to the sultry shores of 1950s French cinema with a film that sent shockwaves around the world, And God Created Woman. This groundbreaking drama introduced the world to Brigitte Bardot in a star-making performance that redefined sensuality on screen and pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in cinema at that time. But beyond its steamy reputation lies a treasure trove of behind-the-scenes drama, cultural impact and surprising facts. So get ready to step into the scandal, the style and the story behind the film with 18 things you never knew about And God Created Woman. By the mid-1950s, Roger Vadim was an established screenwriter. Producer Raoul Levy approached Vadim with the idea of writing and directing a film for Brigitte Bardot, suggesting an adaptation of The Little Genius by Maurice Garçon. Vadim, however, disliked the book and instead devised an original story inspired by a real-life trial involving a woman who had been the mistress of 3 brothers and ultimately killed one of them. He was especially intrigued by her attitude towards her lovers, the jury and the police. Levy was impressed with Vadim's concept and secured the necessary financing. Levy succeeded in securing the money from Columbia on the condition that the film be shot in colour and CinemaScope, and that a role be given to Kurt Jürgens. As the parts of the brothers had already been cast, Vadim rewrote the script in just 2 days, expanding the role of an arms dealer so it could be offered to Jürgens. When the film reached American theatres through Kingsley International Pictures, it became a cultural flashpoint, defying the restrictive Hays Code with its unapologetic sensuality and portrayal of female desire. Most US prints were heavily censored, stripping away much of the film's provocative content, including suggestive scenes and dialogue, to comply with moral guidelines. Yet even in its sanitized form, the movie's essence remained potent, challenging conservative norms and paving the way for more audacious depictions of sexuality in cinema. The Catholic Legion of Decency's harsh C rating, which means condemned, dealt a significant blow to its US commercial prospects, as many Catholic-majority theatres refused to screen it. A Columbia spokesman later remarked that while a less restrictive B rating would have doubled the film's bookings, it would have ultimately halved its box office, suggesting that the scandalous reputation fueled by the condemnation paradoxically drew larger if more limited audiences. Several states initially banned the film, with one Philadelphia district attorney even denouncing it as lascivious, sacrilegious, obscene, indecent and immoral. In other places, cinema managers faced arrest for screening it, while protesters dressed as judges in wigs and robes gathered outside theatres to voice their outrage. Director Roger Vadim, who co-wrote the screenplay, was also married to Bardot and had been involved with her since he was 21 and she was just 15. He later reflected, "She was my wife, my daughter and my mistress." Unsurprisingly, his intimate understanding of Bardot allowed him to shape both the film and her character around her raw magnetic presence, a key factor in its success. In the film, Juliet marries Michael, but wrestles with and ultimately gives into her desire for Antoine. In real life, Bardot and Vadim's marriage was crumbling. She began an affair with co-star Jean-Louis Trintignant while shooting, leading to their separation. The couple wouldn't finalise their divorce until December 1957, nearly a year after the film's release. Though not her screen debut, And God Created Woman became the defining vehicle that catapulted Bardot to international stardom, instantly cementing her sex kitten image and transforming her into an overnight sensation. The success of the film convinced several French film producers that the time was right to offer opportunities to other young directors. In this way, the film played a significant role in the birth of the Nouvelle Vague, or the French New Wave. Emerging in the late 1950s, it was an art film movement that rejected traditional filmmaking conventions in favour of experimentation and iconoclasm. Filmmakers associated with the movement explored new approaches to editing, visual style and narrative, often addressing the social and political upheavals of the time. Their films made frequent use of irony and delved into existential themes. The New Wave is widely regarded as one of the most influential movements in the history of cinema. It was the film's success in the US that compelled French critics and intellectuals to reassess it. Both Raymond Cartier, then editor of Paris Match, and Simone de Beauvoir wrote essays dissecting the Bardot phenomenon. Cartier dismissing her as immoral from head to toe, while Beauvoir hailed her as the most liberated woman in post-war France. Roger Vadim has a small cameo in the film as the friend of Antoine, a brief but meaningful appearance that puts the director directly into his groundbreaking film. Roger Vadim died from lymphoma, aged 72, in 2000. He is buried at the very cemetery that appears in the film. Ex-wives Brigitte Bardot and Jane Fonda were in attendance, along with his other two ex-wives and his widow. Roger Vadim announced his intention to remake And God Created Woman in 1983, teaming up with producers George Braunstein and Ron Hamady. The English-language remake, also titled And God Created Woman, was poorly received. Directed by Vadim, it was released in 1988 and starred Rebecca De Mornay. She was a popular actress throughout the 1980s, with notable performances in Risky Business, Runaway Train, and The Trip to Bountiful, among others. However, starring in this critical and commercial failure significantly damaged her career. The blow was compounded by a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actress, though she ultimately lost to Liza Minnelli, who received the award for her roles in Arthur II, On the Rocks, and Rent-A-Cop. As the film that helped bring French cinema out of the art house and into the mainstream, it introduced Jean-Louis Trintignant to international audiences, though it was Bardot who drew the crowds. However, any momentum the film might have given his career was cut short when he was drafted into military service in Algiers for nearly 3 years following its release. Brigitte Bardot's connection to Saint-Tropez is profound and pivotal, woven into the very identity of this French Riviera town. Her arrival in the 1950s to film And God Created Woman transformed Saint-Tropez from a quiet fishing village into a glamorous jet-set destination. Bardot's sensuality and carefree lifestyle became inextricably linked with the town's allure. The success of the film thrust Saint-Tropez into the limelight, symbolising sun-soaked luxury and glamour, a place where Bardot was often spotted basking in the Mediterranean sun or strolling along the old port. Things were very different back in 1955. The beaches were frequented by little more than the occasional avant-garde sunbather or weathered fisherman. One day, feeling a bit peckish, Roger and Brigitte spotted a couple cooking over an open fire outside a small hut. Mistaking it for a beachfront bistro, they asked if the owners would mind preparing a meal for the film crew. The couple cooking happily agreed, and so Club 55 was born, named after the year of its founding. Thanks to Bardot's patronage, it quickly became a hotspot for stylish Parisians, eventually inspiring a wave of imitators. The film had a rather sluggish start in France, but became a smash hit at the American box office, with its success fueled by its notoriety. The film was a major success in Kansas City, where it ran for a year in the Chemo Theatre and grossed over $100,000, setting a local box office record at the time. In Europe, it shattered attendance records across a wide region, from Norway to the Middle East. The film made a total of $33 million worldwide, an astronomical amount for the time. The firestorm of scandal that erupted after the film's release left its star, Brigitte Bardot, reportedly wishing she'd never been born. And controversy has overshadowed the actress throughout her life. Even after retiring from films at what now seems the remarkably young age of 39, her provocative statements on immigration and fervent animal rights activism have kept her firmly in the public eye. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about And God Created Woman. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.